It just makes me think about how film ratings affect our perception of the film. So, actually, something that came to mind was Sweeney Todd. I think Sweeney Todd was rated R, and I don't remember when I watched it. I was definitely a teenager, I think. Um, and it was rated R because it was just very, very bloody. And of course, like, Sweeney Todd's like killing a lot of people, and he's definitely a psychopath. But I guess, like, I wonder how that affects our perception of film. If a film is rated PG-13 versus PG, how does that affect our expectation going into a film?
Yeah. And also, who makes the rules of like what is considered inappropriate for what age? Because I think there's a difference. I feel like I can't remember what the rules are, but if there is an F word in it, then it automatically like makes it a 14A or something like that. Or like PG-13 movies are allowed to have one F word, and if it's two F words, then it's 14A or it's 18A. Like, I can't remember exactly what it is, but like the rules around it are so specific that writers and like movie studios, when they are creating the films, they need to keep this in mind to make sure that the movie will actually be appropriate for the audience that they are aiming for. So if they want to appeal to like preteen and teen boys, they can't have that much swearing in it, because then they're not going to be able to watch the movie.
There's actually no, I need to look this up. I think it's what is her name? Rebel Wilson. You might know her from, I don't know, Pitch Perfect, a lot of comedy, rom-coms even. And Rebel Wilson and Anne Hathaway made a film called The Hustle. And the film is rated PG-13, but they actually had to talk to, I think, like a jury or like a board or whatever to get it to PG-13. So it initially was scored or rated an R, but Rebel Wilson actually had to speak in front of the people in like using lawyer terms to be like, well, I'm referencing this movie and that movie that have been rated PG-13 and have all of these swear words or reference all of these different things. Like, she actually had to say that these films have been rated PG-13. Why can't my film be rated PG-13? And I just remember, I think this was like from a Graham Norton video interview, and she was like literally reading parts of her speech to the board to be like, this movie was like this. And it sounded so professional. But her point is that there is also kind of sexism or bias in terms of rating films, because like these people, they're going by certain rules. Let's say like one F word means that it will have to be PG-13 rather than PG or whatever. But there is also like a lot of gray area where the board then decides, again, I don't know if it's a board, but there's a lot of bias in terms of like how people will rate the film dependent on who the filmmaker is, who the producers are, and who the people in the film are. And I found that so fascinating.
And I think it also changes, like, I wish I knew what it is, but like depending on what body part you show, I think you get a different rating. And I feel like women's bodies are like less okay to show than men's bodies, which speaks to like how this has happened in film in the past. Like, we often see more male nudity than female nudity, I think.
Yeah. So there's like a massive amount of like bias in the rating system. So it's just interesting to think about all of the different facets that go into film distribution and filmmaking, because maybe if you want your film to be rated PG-13, you're going to know like, okay, I can only have this certain word, this amount of whatever in my film. And that might actually affect how great the storytelling is, because if you're working within constraints, not that constraints are bad, but if you're working within certain constraints, you might have to leave some things out that might actually be beneficial to the storytelling. So there's lots of like nuances and dependencies that affect the stories that we listen to and hear.
Yeah. And it's also interesting how I feel like violence is like, that's fine for PG or even PG-13 movies, and we kind of expect that, but nudity is like way less appropriate than violence. And not just nudity, but like potentially like certain themes or even like smoking or drinking. Like what is the line, and who decided that like watching people be shot or killed is more appropriate than nudity? Like it's just interesting what we consider appropriate for what age. And also, is this changing over time? Like has the rating system shifted at all within the last 20 years, or is it the same? I don't know.
Yeah. And then what are like, if they shift, like how do they shift? Do they shift to become more violent or less violent? That would be something so fascinating to like figure out and learn about, because in my head I kind of feel like it might veer closer to more violent as the years go by, just because I feel like the media is showing a lot more kind of violence as well, and so we're slowly gradually becoming more desensitized to violence on the screen and about like real life things like true crime. There are so many like violent images that are shown in true crime, and I'm like, how can you show that? How is this like Netflix appropriate?
And tying it back to Marvel, I feel like Marvel movies are kind of considered like family friendly or family appropriate, and like people of any age can watch those movies, but like superhero movies actually do have like a lot of violence, and people die in them.
Lots
like
of
you might
people.
not see death on screen, or you might not see that much blood, but like there is lots of destruction and attempted killing in superhero movies, and that's still seen as family friendly. So that's really interesting. Like The Dark Knight, it's a really dark movie, but I think I saw it in theaters. Like, what year did it come out? Do you remember? Because The Dark Knight is definitely not R-rated.
No.
I don't even think it's 18A. I feel like it's 14A. But even for a 14-year-old, like, I feel like that's kind of dark. But at the same time, like, we have not been teenagers for a while. I don't know what's appropriate for teenagers these days, and it's kind of hard to picture myself at that age and what was appropriate for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of feel like some people also just go, like, buy... Like, there are stories where teenagers just buy tickets for a different film, like maybe it's like, I don't know, Despicable Me 5 or something like that, which is like very, very harmless, and then they just end up going to see an R-rated film anyway. So even though there's a rating there isn't so much in terms of like actual strict following of the rules. Potentially this is just Canada. Maybe in another country there's much more of like, show me your ID or whatever. But yeah, I just think that the rating system is, I understand the purpose of it, but I kind of feel like A, it might not be used at all in the final distribution outlets like the cinemas, and B, the nuances of like what actually is determined to be PG-13 versus R, like the fact that you can have an R-rated film be basically a PG-13 film but rated R because of just the people who are in it, that just seems like the system needs an update to me.
Yeah, it's sort of interesting because I haven't thought about this in a long time, because as of, you know, when you turn 18 or 19, like everything is now available to you. Like you're not
adults.
too young for anything. Yeah. Whereas from like age 10 or 11 to age 18, you are really thinking about this and like, you know, trying to figure out what you can see in theaters and what's appropriate for you. But now, yeah, we're adults. We can watch whatever.